This is Tommy Watt for TCT Boxing and IFL TV. I'm joined here, as always, by Lucas Browne. How you doing, mate?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. Thanks for taking time out.
It's good.
A few things to talk about. It's been all up in the air. So first of all, let's have a look at what is your understanding of your situation at the moment. Let's just get that one out of the way first and foremost.
Unfortunately, my understanding is that I've got no idea what's going on. I'm basically the plan B for Parker. And I understand that. If I was in Parker's position, I'd want to go for the best fight possible and money and everything else. So I completely understand where he is with Joshua. At the same time, I don't think they're seeing eye to eye in terms of percentage or the rest of it. So he wanted like a 50-50 split.
Yeah, we'll get on to that in a minute.
That wasn't going to happen. But yeah, I assume I'm the plan B, and I don't think the Joshua thing is going through, so plan B is looking like plan A at the moment for me.
Yeah.
In saying that, it was supposed to be signed 2 weeks ago, and it hasn't, so it then turned into, okay, if you don't get it, you can fight White. So big letdown, because like, as much as I want to punch the big mouth's face in, yeah, world title, White. Two different things, you know what I mean? So I still get the chance to punch someone that I really don't like in the face, which is great, but I'd rather have the world title first and then rub it in his face after that. It was really great. So at the moment, I'm plugging away. I was supposed to fight the Russian on the 27th of November, and we've given that up for the Parker fight, which is obviously in my best interest.
Go for a world
so yeah, at this stage, we're just sort of sitting and waiting. We're at the mercy of Juco and Eddie Hearn at the moment.
Yeah, and then the final piece of the puzzle and the final change and upset to the whole scenario was David Haye this morning, or last night in the UK, pulling out of his fight with Tony Bellew, which leaves Bellew kind of open, but he's indicated that he's not keen to fight the big boys in the division. For you, there's a bit of a lose-lose situation, that one really.
It is, yeah. Like he's got a big mouth. He's already like shot his mouth off at me saying about being a drug cheat and all the rest of it. So thanks for that. I'd love to punch his face in as well, that'd be great, but he's smart enough to know that I'd basically punch a hole through him, which is, he's not a heavyweight, so that's fair enough. I'd still love to do it. If Hearn and everyone else wants to get it on, then by all means, I'd love to do that. So,
yeah, it'd be interesting to see, and he did take David Haye's punches in the last fight. How much of the old David Haye was left, we don't know.
That's right.
But yeah, that could be an interesting option. But so first choice for you is Joseph Parker.
Yes.
It's a world title fight, obviously. So let's have a chat about him. At the moment, he's holding out for what was 50%, then went down to 40, and I think I saw yesterday 35, which is getting closer to, I guess, what you'd expect. Now, from my side of things, and you've been on the side of negotiations on both ends as well. The fight, even 20-30% against Joshua is going to be, well, I mean, I assume 10 times more than you'd get for any other fight.
Exactly.
So
exactly right.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one to look at in that respect.
In the pound as well. So when it translates back to Australian or New Zealand dollars, it's even more again. So,
So it's an interesting one because obviously he doesn't want to sell himself short, but you might not get that chance again.
That's right.
And if even a fight with yourself, which would be huge in Australia and New Zealand, massive here. Elsewhere, maybe not. UK probably quite big. America probably not quite as much.
No.
But yeah, he's probably getting 10, 15, 20% of that kind of purse.
That's right.
Even for what would be a big fight and a big risk.
Exactly right.
So he could not take that fight, lose to you potentially, and then that fight with Joshua is gone.
That's right.
And I guess that's what you guys have to mix up all the time, is it?
Exactly. Yeah. The thing is, he's still undefeated. I'm still undefeated. So when it comes down to it, if we were to have a loss in a world title fight, so to speak, we still hold the credibility and we'll still be able to get bigger fights, all that sort of stuff, and or a world title again. Look at like Klitschko, for example. Went from being sort of no one again to let's throw the WBA and IBF and even the IBO title in. Why not? So once you get to a certain level of being a world champion and holding it, well then other big fights are always there. So.
Yeah, once you've had that former world champion or former world title challenger, it becomes a different conversation.
That's right. And as long as it's a good fight that you're losing in as well, if you put on a pitiable performance like the Huey Fury, for example, then people aren't really sort of running to fight you again.
Well, I guess he's got no one really wants to see him fight right now.
No.
Plus, he is risky because he's not a terrible fighter. So
no, that's
why you'll find it very hard to get fights.
Exactly.
And I guess you're probably in a similar situation for a while as well. People don't want to get knocked out.
That's right.
And with inactivity and things like that, your stock's kind of gone from where it was and yeah, the risk reward for everyone else is like,
that's right.
says you're having to force your way
I'm my own worst enemy. That's right.
Yeah, so you're having to force your way into these fights either through social media or through mandatories, and
yes. That's right.
I guess going to get your next shot. So if you do get that fight with Parker, how do you see that going?
I like Parker. I have nothing bad to say about the kid, which is great. I think he's a great ambassador for the sport, obviously New Zealand and everything else, which is great. So when it comes down to it, it is business. We're fighting, so we're going to be punching each other out. So I think he hasn't looked the same since Ruiz. So basically, Ruiz, I personally thought he lost 2, maybe 3 rounds, like by 2-3 rounds to Ruiz. I thought Ruiz won that fight. And he hasn't really looked good since. Prior to that, he was very fast, very sharp, very strong, and looked better in the weigh-ins and stuff like that.
He's looked heavy since that.
Yeah, he's softened up a little bit, stuff like that. There's a lot of speculation behind that, of course, which I'm not going to go into. But I don't think he's looked the goods. He can obviously box, but when it comes to being like pressured and being on the back foot, I think he does fall apart a little bit. He becomes very Islander, if you want to call that, the big swings, and sort of forgets his boxing, so to speak. So for me, coming forward, I like to push. I'm going to be heavier no matter how you look at it. I'll be heavier than him. I think more power than him, and be able to sort of push through his punches and put some more pressure on him, and really put him on the back foot and scare him.
That suits you, probably, of the champions at the moment? That fight suits you the best?
I think again, nothing against the kid, but I think he's the weakest champion. I don't think Wilder can fight at all. I think he's really a bullshit boxer, but he can hit.
He does have.
No matter how you look at it, he can punch. You know what I mean? So that is always going to be the threat, no matter what. I think Joshua is the best boxer out of all of them. I think both Joshua and Wilder have the weakest chins. Yeah. But then you've got to get to their chin as well.
The chin's up there.
That's right. So I think Parker, as an overall, I think he's the weakest of the 3, and it'd be the best chance for me.
Yeah, and I saw Kevin Barry, his trainer, say recently that he wants him to lose probably 7-8 kilos before his next fight and get back to that more athletic, speedy type fighter, which we saw coming up and looked so impressive.
That's right.
So fingers crossed, and like, personally, from my point of view, I just love to see that fight. It'd be a great build-up, good banter, exactly. And I assume obviously it'd be fairly local as well. So
as far as I'm aware of course, this is all speculation, everything else, but we're looking at sort of Melbourne, I believe. So if it does go through, it'll be Melbourne in March. So I'll be more than happy. A homegrown fight, so to speak. There's so many Maori, New Zealander, Pacific Islanders, whatever you want to say, over here that are supporting myself and him. Like it's just a general Anzac feeling, which is great.
So it'd be a fantastic
it's
fight.
Awesome.
So around the division, obviously touched on Bellew and Haye. Anthony Joshua has been in the media a little bit recently with some bits and bobs going on with his social media. Have you seen any of that that's going on?
Well, the thing is, I've given my Twitter to my manager.
Right.
So I give him the information to put on Twitter, but I've basically given up on that because it really just annoyed me having so much abuse and private messages and all that sort of stuff. So he's handling it, he's putting the information out there, he's doing the question and answers, and like obviously asked me questions and asked me what my answers would be, etc. But I'm making him I'm letting him handle it. So I'm still very active on my Instagram and Facebooks, but Twitter I've left to him.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. And then we saw Deontay Wilder in against I wouldn't say Shannon Briggs there. in against Vermaine Stavern.
Stavern, yes.
Again.
Yes.
Now Stavern hadn't fought since he'd last lost to Wilder, and looked like he probably hadn't trained since then either.
This is the thing about boxing. Like, it should have been like, how did he get back to where he was? For being inactive and everything else.
Don King might have had something
this is the thing about politics and bullshit. So I think it's bad. When you look at my situation, I'm counted as the former world heavyweight champ. I'm 25-0, so it wasn't a loss, it was a win.
Yeah.
And I was cleared, but yet I never received the belt. So this is the politics of boxing. So if I'm a former champ, should I have a belt?
And haven't been given a chance to rectify it or to fight for the title again?
I think I did, but then it was supposed to be me and Briggs fighting for it again, and then there was the pre-workout. So that completely screwed me. But again, my fault. I take complete responsibility for that one. That was all my fault, that one. But at the same time, I should still have the belt that I won legitimately in Chechnya, so And
Briggs, on Briggs, Tyson Fury mentioned that he wouldn't mind fighting Briggs as his sort of comeback fight, which
yeah.
the fight might not be too interesting, but the build-up would be.
The banter backers and forwards would be awesome. The videos that the Briggs comes up with, sensational.
Back to Wilder. What were your thoughts on that fight first of all?
I thought it was sad that Browne didn't even turn up, so to speak. You know what I mean?
I don't even know if he threw a punch.
I don't think he did. No, no.
Yeah.
I think the first right hand was perfect. It was spot on, and obviously that shook him. But then he just turned into like a windmill. He really literally
that seems to be every time Wilder catches anyone, he seems to forget.
That's right. that he's in a boxing match.
It's just like time just throw everything at it. And, you know, the amount of, you see obviously all the memes and stuff online where he's falling over.
Shocking, isn't it?
It's just for me as a boxing fan and being part of the sport, it's almost embarrassing sometimes that he's the pinnacle of.
Supposedly, yes, that's right. Yeah.
Because some of the things that he obviously does, some things very, very well.
Perfect.
So
yes.
Other things.
Yeah. Completely.
He just doesn't do them.
That's right.
He doesn't battle.
That's right.
So who do you see for if say you were to fight Parker and everyone wants the Joshua Wilder fight to happen?
Yep.
What do you see happening if that fight's to be made? Do you think Wilder will travel to the UK?
I think so, because I think there's a point where Wilder's is making money, like probably 3-4 million, something like that. But if he was to go to UK, he'd make more. Yeah. So it makes sense to go where the money is.
Well, he's not even selling out like 10,000 seats.
That's right.
In his hometown.
That's right. Exactly right.
So and well, I wasn't sure when I saw Saul Bella mention that they can match the money in Vegas that they can in the UK. I just don't see how that's possible when you've got 90,000 people buying tickets, 2.5 million people buying pay-per-views.
Yes.
And that's just in the UK.
That's right.
And that's before they even sell it.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So it's it'd be a great, massive fight.
It's a fight that people would actually, like Australia-wide and stuff, would actually buy because it's an interesting fight. It's not someone like attack him on 2 weeks' notice sort of thing. You know what I mean? It's a legit fight, and they'll have a legit camp and build up and everything. So I think it'd be a great fight.
And then I guess if you and Parker was to happen, the winner of that is surely in line.
I'd say so. Like someone like Parker would have a rematch clause, as everyone would. So if I was to knock him over, there'd probably be a rematch. From my point of view, I think Christian Hammer is #1 in the rankings. So how funny is that? But yeah, that'd be a great defence, or voluntary, or mandatory, whatever you call it. And someone like Fujimoto as well, from my point of view. Have a good couple of defences, just really sort of set myself as being someone who's worthy of fighting for the big boys and the big dollars, and then go against someone like a Wilder or a Joshua for some big money and try and really get one champion.
Unify that division. Yeah. And I suppose if you manage to squeeze in a few defences, you might actually get your belt by then as well.
I hope so. You never know, I might get the WBA one.
We'll see about that.
Yeah.
So for yourself, are we expecting some news anytime now for an official announcement?
I'm hoping so. Yeah, it was supposed to be 2 weeks ago. Like I literally got told 2 weeks ago that we were going to fight, and it's on. It's 100% everything else. That was 2 weeks ago. It's changed a few times since then. So yeah, I'm really hoping there's going to be something. I think from everyone's point of view, something has to happen soon, because you have to build it up, you have to prepare, you have to promote, you have to do everything else. So
especially a fight that size,
yeah, exactly.
You don't want to just rush it through.
Exactly right. Yeah.
And I guess if it was in Melbourne, what are you looking at?
Hisense
Arena.
Hisense, right across from the casino there. So it just makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you've got Horn up in Brisbane. And again, that'd be something that you'd want to sort of promote. So you get, if we sign it, you get someone like myself and Parker up in Brisbane. Yeah. Get in there on main event TV and promote it and all that sort of stuff.
That's it. I mean, that seems like the perfect place to begin something like that.
Well, it's all JUCO anyway, so it makes sense for everyone.
Although, we'll see, because I think obviously Higgins is working with Parker.
At the moment, they're still together.
We'll see what happens with that. We'll be up in Brisbane for that one fight. So if I can get an inside scoop, we'll obviously let everyone know.
Lovely.
And with that, actually on that, I guess you might have an inside side on that. Is it David Higgins that you guys are speaking to from JUCO? Yes, it is.
And complete respect to him. He's been up front. You got Stu Duncan, who I believe is the matchmaker, all that sort of stuff. They've been completely upfront with us and said if this doesn't happen, this will happen, and it has been confirmed through Eddie Hearn, all the stuff with White and everything else. So they've been upfront. It's just the fact that I am getting mucked around a little bit, but understandably because he's trying to get Joshua. So I understand that.
And from Parker's point of view, I guess he's got to chase that Joshua fight, and at least they are so being up front.
That's right.
As well, which is not always the case in boxing.
It definitely is not. No. So thank you to Higgins and Juco. You are looking after me at the moment, so appreciate that, and hopefully we'll work with each other very soon. Yeah.
Fingers crossed, mate. Well, look, we absolutely look forward to that being an official announcement, hopefully very soon.
Yes.
Otherwise, we'll look at Dillian Whyte next year.
Yes.
Before we go, thoughts on that fight if it goes ahead. Where would you? I'd like to change that question. Where would you rate Dillian Whyte on the heavyweight landscape right now? If you have Joshua and Wilder, leave the champions out, and you put yourself in there.
Yeah.
Where would you say Whyte fits into that mix?
About 15. Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. He can box. He can fight. But I think he's like a Chisora used to be, where he's basically the sort of prime gatekeeper. If you were to beat him, you're going on to better things. If you don't, then you shouldn't be in the division, sort of thing. I think the only reason he is where he is because of Eddie Hearn, which is great for Whyte. So I'd be thanking Eddie Hearn for that one. But if I was to fight him as well, I think I'd want to go for the that WBC silver title. I think that'd be great, and obviously have a camp. See, I'm in camp now, which is good. Last time he offered me the fight.
3 weeks out.
I had like 3, maybe 4 weeks out, and I wasn't ready. So there's no point me jumping in just so he can then turn around and go, see, I beat you with 4 weeks' notice.
Yeah.
Like, give me a proper camp, and we'll take it from there.
And there's talk of him and Jarrell Miller potentially fighting. What are your thoughts on Big Baby?
I think Miller will walk all over him. I think Miller's just... He shows that he can walk straight through punches. He's obviously got a lot of power, but he does leave himself open. He gets caught, but he takes it. So
I think a fight with yourself and Miller would be entertaining.
There'd be a lot of sort of standing there punching the shit over each other, which I think everyone actually likes. So he's a big boy, but he's like 130 something kilos. You know what I mean? So if he did actually trim down to a 125, maybe. He'd be devastating.
Height-wise, he could probably make cruiserweight.
Yeah, that's right.
Can't be much taller than like David Haye.
A lot of the people I like, a lot of these people besides Whyte, I actually speak to on Twitter, Instagram, all that sort of stuff. And Big Baby is a sensational bloke. He says that he holds it all basically in his thighs and in his ass. So go the booty sort of thing. But He does carry it well, and he said it himself that he does sort of get better as the rounds go on. So he's got the gas tank. So there's no question that he's got the gas tank. Yeah. So I think him and myself will be a great fight, but I'd actually want it to be for something as well, because we're gonna hurt each other. So at least make it worthwhile. You want it to be a prize, a little cat at the end of it. Yeah, totally. You say heavyweight division just great at the moment. Yeah, it's getting there. And even rumours that Vitali might be coming back. Is that right? Saw that he was back in the gym. So okay. Yeah, you just you never know. They say the division is so much money, so much interest. Yeah. Everyone's coming back. You never know. That's great. Excellent. See some other heavyweights of old making a comeback. That's right. But and then now on the Australian scene, there's talk as well of Dempsey McKean, who I know that you know, and Solomon Hamono, who's a guy that you nearly fought on a few occasions. Yeah. How did you see that fight? Domestically, I suppose that's about as good as it gets. It's good. Yeah. You got Leopold in the mix as well now. But at the same time, you can't just call me out because I'm doing well and you're not, and then think that, he's dogging me now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going for a Parker world title fight. Yeah. Or go for a Leopold who's just come back off losing 40 kilos or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's awesome, boys. But at the moment, I'm concentrating on bigger things. If he gets some good wins and gets back up in the rankings, well, then it'd be a great fight for me and Leopold. Yeah. I'm not even looking at Solomon Hamono because there's just no point. I think McKean has it over Sol. I think Sol's just a little bit too old, a little bit too slow at the moment, and McKean's right where he should be. He's nice and long. He's also a lefty, which I hate. Yeah, he's in great shape. So he looks great. And to say a long-rangey southpaw heavyweight is going to be awkward for anyone. Funnily enough, I was chatting with him on social media, and he is basically not a carbon copy, so to speak, but had his MMA and his kickboxing career before boxing. He had his Aussie title on his 10th or 11th fight, all that sort of stuff. So like it's exactly the same as what I did. He's coming through, yeah. So big future for him, which is good. He looks the goods. Like he was 6'6" lefty, and he's about 113 kilos, something like that. So great size, great shape, everything else. So yeah, good future for him.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Australian boxing booming, heavyweights around the world are booming. It's just exciting times in general. We'll wait to hear on yours.
Question for you.
Yeah, go on then.
What the hell's going on with Ortiz? He's now back in the mix.
Yeah, so I think they've managed to argue that it was a medical exemption.
Yet the WBA have held their thing.
Yeah, but I think, and to be fair, I think the WBA stance is you should, if you already had a ban, you should be putting down everything, even medical or non-medical.
Yes.
And if you're not, then that's just, that's silly. Yeah. So I think that's why they're standing by it.
Yep.
I don't know, I think someone's got a lot of money invested in Ortiz, and I think that someone may be fairly influential, and they might have a few words to say, because like you say, you see people like yourself, see people like Tyson Fury, there was no special treatment, there was no you're back in a month,
at all.
And you know, and you look at the way Tyson Fury's been treated with that whole situation, it's embarrassing to look at, the man's not been able to work.
That's right. Also, I'm in a similar position where, yes, I had a world title fight and people think I made millions for some reason, which I didn't. But I've used all that money now, and I'm back to square one, not being poor, but I need work, I need money, so I need to fight, I need to support my family and everything else. So if I can, I want to say thank you to the sponsors and things like that who have helped me out. Knockout Nutrition in St Mary's has really helped me out with the supplements, making sure that my dumb ass doesn't use anything that it's not supposed to. So everything is with the tick, the informed sports tick and everything else. So I'm very happy about that. F45 out the ponds. I'm doing that a couple of nights a week. So my fitness and everything as well. I'm 125 kilos, but probably as fit as I was for the Chicago fight at this weight. So I'm very excited about it all. Blacktown PCYC sensational. Spar bars helped me out with the the new equipment, which is great. White Knuckle over in Perth, they've always been helping me out, so thank you very much. And so I'm just excited about the future and how it's going.
Well, let's hope 2018 is a much more productive year than 2017 was for you, mate.
2016 was supposed to be my year.
Yeah, I remember it. Well, it nearly was. We're almost there.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2018, big year, big fights, Parker, and then on to bigger and better
things. That's right. Yeah, well, it's really.
Looking forward to it, mate. Lucas Browne.
Stay tuned.
Hit him up on Facebook or Twitter at Lucas Big Daddy Browne.
That's right.
And we'll catch you later.
Thank you.